Ooh, tomorrow at 4 o'clock, the Bud list.
We have to update this picture.
Nick
Riz
got
had
a
a
new
beard
photo.
in 2 years.
Also, there's no thematic reason there's lightning.
No.
You're now entering the No Bull Zone, sponsored by Credible. You get great rates. You don't have to deal with any of the bull.
Okay.
Your reaction?
It's just totally wrong. It's just I like Ryan. I respect Ryan. That sounds to me, and I don't think this is Ryan, but it sounds like someone that has only watched the highlights. The highlights are just college stuff, and maybe a few if you could in the NFL, but it's going to be hard because the stuff that we run during the show,
it's
they're
awesome.
like, oh my God, he's running around, he's doing crazy Johnny Manziel stuff.
Yeah.
Last year, his down year, in a clean pocket, 292 pass attempts, 75%, 10 yards per attempt, 22 touchdowns, 1 turnover. Give me a break. Just give me a break. Now, is there some...
This is one right here.
Yeah, this is one. This is like a Mahomes one, but also will that work in the NFL? I get that. The only knock on Caleb, other than the off the field, which isn't really off the field, it's just people are like, trying to find ways to say I don't think he's man enough because he cried and because he paints his nails as an homage to his mother. Or they don't like the fact that he made $10 million and lived in a sweet-ass condo in college, but, good for him. The other thing was, when I say Mahomes-esque, Mahomes, his last 2 years at Texas Tech, was sacked 64 times. People are like, oh, he's going to, he takes too many sacks. But if you listen to him talk about it, or really the people around him talk about it, it was he knew if we don't score, we lose. So I am going to try to hang in there and make every play. Caleb last year was sacked 54, or the last 2 years was sacked. Caleb was sacked 64 times, Mahomes 54 times last 2 years. Pardon me. Both, 27 a year versus 32 a year. Point being that Caleb's doing the same thing. USC's defense was so bad that he had to try to make every play. This idea that he can't play from the pocket, it just, to me, I watched him. It's not what I saw.
Well, no, I think you make some good points, and I think he had to play like that, which is one thing I like and I think will help him at the next level, is he didn't have all the best receivers in the world, the best offensive line in the country. He had to make a lot of those plays on his own, all right? I like that because I do think sometimes we'll see if it continues with the Bryce Harper. But sometimes
Bryce Young.
Sometimes your receivers are so great, your line is so great. You're at freaking Alabama, and everybody's wide open the first or second option.
All right.
Mac Jones.
Sorry.
I'm just saying though. So notice a lot of the top quarterbacks come from programs that aren't the most touted in the country. So I like that. I do think, Nick, there is some legitimacy to, like, the stuff about 75% of what he does can't do it in the NFL. No, you can't do it because we see Mahomes do it. All right, so we know you can do it. But I do think, Nick, there is legitimacy to him being more on time. And it's not that he hasn't done it at all, but I think that's going to be one of the challenges or one of the things he has to learn and get better at is to be more of an on-time passer in the NFL. And then when you need to do that stuff that he does so well, that's when it'll be good.
Here's Josh on time to throw. Josh went to USC, so this was a special graphic that he made. Under 2.5 seconds, 10 touchdowns, 1 interception. When he's able to extend the pocket a little bit, completion percentage goes down.
Of course.
But 20 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. So either way, he's
good.
excellent.
And again, this was his down year.
Yeah.
That's the thing. People, and this is what is so frustrating to me. There's a great Mike Tomlin clip. And shout out to Ryan Clark. He did it with Ryan Clark on The Pivot a couple years ago, where Tomlin talked about the draft. And he's like, man, I love when I hear other teams talk about anything other than pedigree. And by pedigree, he didn't mean like how many star recruit you were, but he meant about tangibles, your size, your strength, your athleticism. He said, because that means they're focused on the wrong stuff. Because everything else is about coaching. Everything, you know what I mean? Oh, this guy has bad technique. He's like, that's coaching. Yeah. And I want to coach. So when I am looking at Caleb Williams, aside from the fact he might be 1.5 inches shorter than would be ideal, but so is Mahomes. He checks every box on what can you do. So then if it is, hey, in the pros, get it out quicker, don't always hunt for the huge play. That is coaching.
I buy that.
And I don't think I think he's a really sharp kid, so I think he will do that. I think at times he is being penalized right now for understanding what the limitations of his specific team were, and that if I'm not, making huge plays, we can't compete. And so I think that's part of what's happening here. I also think everybody knows he is going number one. He's the clear-cut best guy. We got a lot of time till the draft, so people are going to try to pick on that.
So here's what else Ryan said about his development plan. Take a listen. Okay, Brou, your reaction.
Look, I generally like when rookie quarterbacks sit the first year. I mean, it's not for everybody, like C.J. Stroud didn't need to do it. But I do wish more teams would at least make that an option. Just because I drafted the guy number one, number two, whatever, doesn't mean I'm throwing him right in to start. Okay, Jordan Love, we see how he looks like he's probably going to be a star. Okay, he sat. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers. Mahomes didn't start his first year. Lamar started, come off the bench initially. Now, so I don't hate that from Ryan Leaf, but all those situations I just named, Rodgers had Favre and Mike McCarthy. Love had Matt LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers. Mahomes they were a playoff team, Andy Reid and Alex Smith. And Lamar had Joe Flacco, a Super Bowl winning coach, John Harbaugh, Super Bowl winning coach, quarterback, and a playoff team. So in that situation, when you sit, you're going to learn, okay? But in Chicago, they tried it with Justin Fields. Remember Andy Dalton was the starter. If you're in a bad organization, or at least has been with quarterbacks for 70 years or so, all right, then I don't know. I don't hate the idea, but I hope he learns. If he sits in Chicago, is he really going to learn anything?
So I think you actually do learn, even if you're not learning from the quarterback in front of you, just from being in the meetings. Well,
you know what I mean? A good organization.
Hope that they improved at offensive coordinator this offseason. So I actually don't hate this idea for any of the parties, which is if the latest reports are right, which is they're looking at maybe only getting a third-round pick for Justin Fields. I don't hate the idea of the Bears drafting Caleb and saying, hey, you're going to sit in the beginning.
Behind Justin Fields?
Yeah. And with the
don't you?
Can I just
go ahead?
Let me just explain why. Because this goes to somewhat of the pressure that we talked about the other day. Those fans in Chicago right now, a lot of them want Justin. And so I think if you sit behind Justin and he struggles mightily, then they're happy when you come in. If you sit behind Justin and he plays decent and then the Bears all of a sudden get a much better draft pick in return and you take over, then it's better for all parties.
What if he plays really well?
Okay, well, that's one of them, as Marlo Stanfield would say, one of them good problems. Then the Bears have a bounty of assets to figure out what to do with.
Look, I think the bigger problem is, and I will admit, Justin would really have no choice but to try to play his best because you want to continue to play in the league. But, man, that locker room, I got to think that locker room would be a mess. I just think it's human nature. Justin Fields knows this is the guy they brought in to replace me. They think he's better than me.
It wasn't a mess for Alex Smith and Mahomes.
Yeah, but Alex Smith was a lot older and had proven he's a mediocre quarterback.
He won the division a couple years in a row. Like, he did his job. He was a pro.
He could even see.
I don't think they're going to do it, but I wouldn't hate it.
Lakers must win. And Shingun highlights next.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.